The candles flickered between us like tiny, nervous sentinels, their glow catching on the rims of crystal glasses and the silver band of his wedding ring. Outside, snow drifted past the mullioned windows of the inn, slow as breath. Inside, carols played at a tactful volume. No voices, just strings, as if even the speakers feared to disturb the hush of couples celebrating the most wonderful time of the year. My husband, Richard, lifted his gaze to mine and smiled the same lopsided smile that had once made me agree to spend my life with him. It was a smile that knew how to appear boyish at 41. A smile that promised safety while it pocketed secrets. 10 minutes earlier, I had been in the ladies' room. An oak-paneled sanctum smelling of cinnamon potpourri, standing at the marble sink, rubbing soap between my palms. The door to the corridor had not closed properly, and two voices drifted in, pitched low under the carol's melody. "Can't keep pretending," the woman said. I recognized the tremor of tears held back. "She doesn't know?" A man's voice, Richard's, answered soft, urgent, the tone he used when negotiating million-dollar deals. "She thinks tonight's the first night I've seen you since August. If you make a scene, everything unravels. One more year. Just one. Then I'll tell her." My hands kept rotating under the automatic dryer, hot air roaring like a storm against my skin, but inside I felt arctic. I heard fabric shift, an embrace maybe, and then footsteps retreating. When I stepped into the corridor, Richard was nowhere. The music swelled into silent night. I walked back to our table on legs that reported to someone else's brain. Now we sat opposite each other, white china between us, a single red poinsettia in a silver pot. He carved the roast duck as though it were a routine contract negotiation. Precise, calm, generous with the best slices. Steam rose, carrying thyme and orange, and for a moment I hated the smell, too alive, too festive. He arranged meat on my plate, then on his, and finally looked up, smile deployed. "Penny for your thoughts," he said. "That I thought. You have priced my thoughts far above pennies, Richard. You have mortgaged our life for a year of duplicity, and you're paying in someone else's currency." Aloud, I answered. I was thinking how snow muffles sound. My voice sounded normal, soft, even contemplative. A voice that belonged to a woman still in love with the man across from her. He nodded, approving of the metaphor. "Makes the world feel freshly laundered," he said, and lifted his glass. "To us, to another year of adventures." Adventures. The word sat on my tongue like a pill too bitter to swallow. I raised my glass but did not drink. The wine was a Cabernet we'd bought in Napa on our 10th anniversary, the trip where we'd promised to return every decade to toast forever. I wondered which vintage he would share with her, our invisible plus one, when they visited next. Around us, other couples murmured, plans for ski trips, children's Christmas lists, mortgage rates. A baby cried briefly and was hushed. The inn's fire crackled. Normal life pressed on, unaware that a marriage had detonated in its midst. Richard reached for my hand. His palm was warm, familiar, the hand that had held mine on roller coaster drops, in delivery rooms, at my father's funeral. I let him take it, studying the geography of his skin. The faint scar from a sailing rope, the gold band rubbing a pale circle. How many times had that hand stroked someone else's hair this year? How many times had it signed emails love are to two women at once? "Your fingers are cold," he murmured. "You're not eating. Duck not good." "It's perfect," I said. And it was cooked to blush, crisp skin, cherry sauce glossy as lacquer. Perfect, like our Christmas card photo. Both of us in matching navy coats, dog between us, faux fur throws on the porch railing. Perfect, like the spreadsheet he kept of gifts to buy, parties to attend, charities to patronize. Perfect, like the lie he'd maintained for 16 months that I pictured the woman. Probably younger, probably impressed by his ability to secure last-minute reservations at restaurants with months-long waiting lists. Did he tell her the same stories? Did he say, "My wife doesn't understand me," or "We're basically roommates," or did he skip mention of me altogether? I realized I didn't even know her name. Someone's daughter, someone's best friend, someone who believed she was stealing a future while I was apparently clinging to a past. He squeezed my hand. "You're trembling." "I'm fine." I lied because that was what we did here, exchange currency of untruths. He lied about fidelity. I lied about knowledge. The balance sheet balanced, technically, but something in my tone must have flickered. His eyes narrowed a millimeter, the way they did when quarterly numbers didn't add up. I smiled back, wider, letting the corners of my mouth ache. A performance to match his. We ate. Or rather, he ate, I rearranged. The duck became confetti on my plate. He told me about work, An acquisition, a trip to London in January. I nodded, asked questions, even laughed at the right beats. My body knew the choreography. My mind hovered near the ceiling, observing the couple below. A woman wearing a crimson dress she'd bought specially for this dinner, a man who'd knotted his tie in the mirror while humming Jingle Bells, both pretending this was just Christmas tradition, another year in the ledger. When the server cleared plates, Richard ordered dessert, chocolate fondant for two, our ritual. I hate chocolate after savory, but I'd never told him. I'd always eaten a polite spoonful because rituals knit marriage. Tonight I decided the knit was already frayed. I would not swallow bitterness for cohesion. Actually, I said, I'll have the cheese board. He blinked, recovered. Of course. And a glass of port? No, just water. The server disappeared. Richard leaned closer, voice intimate. Everything okay? You've been elsewhere. I considered options. Confrontation here, now, amid silver cutlery and strangers. Or waiting until morning, until we drove home through snow-plowed roads, until gifts were unwrapped and thank-you notes drafted. I thought of the mortgage, the dog, the friends who loved us as a unit, the embarrassment of explaining why Christmas cards would arrive and sign this year. I thought of my mother saying, marriage is patience, and of my own voice answering, patience has expiration dates. I lifted my napkin, dabbed lips that felt numb. I overheard you, I said quietly. In the corridor. By the restrooms. The color left his face faster than candle wax melting. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked toward the window where snow kept falling, white erasure over cobblestones, over footprints, over promises. He began. I raised a hand. Don't insult me with details. Don't tell me it didn't mean anything. Don't say you were going to end it. I heard what you said, 1 more year. That's not ending, that's scheduling. His shoulders sagged, as if someone had let air out of a heroic balloon. I'm sorry, he
whispered. So am I. The server returned with fondant and cheeses, arranged them like offerings to exhausted gods. I picked up a piece of manchego, tasted salt and age, felt the granular truth on my tongue. I chewed, swallowed, and finally drank the wine. Deep, dark, tasting of blackberries and of Napa sun and of endings. Outside, the snow continued its quiet takeover. Inside, carols swelled to a finish. I didn't know yet where I would sleep that night, or how we would tell the dog, the mortgage company, our combined calendars. But I knew this. The meal would finish, the table would be cleared, and I would walk out of the inn whole, not intact, but whole, carrying a silence louder than any confession. Richard sat back, eyes glassy, smile finally dismantled. I looked at him one last time, the man who had once taught me to bait a fishing hook and to negotiate car prices and to make pancakes from scratch. I thanked him for the good years, for the lessons, for the clarity that comes after the music fades. Then I stood, coat in hand, and stepped into the snow where sound was muffled and every footprint belonged only to me.